Hello and welcome back, and today let's talk about Hershel Greene and what if he survived Season 4 Episode 8. How would the story change with the presence of Hershel moving past Season 4? Would Rick still become Murder Jacket Rick, or would we get a more calm, level-headed man? So let's jump right into the scenario, and the governor is kept from cutting off Hershel's head. Rick talks him down a little before he does his swing, and then Rick reacts quick enough to shoot the governor, knocking him down. Hershel survives the battle and the episode goes on as normal. The change is that Michonne doesn't walk off alone, she walks off with a slightly injured Hershel. Everyone assumes he's dead. Maggie assumes he must have died in the firefight, she had no way of getting over to him, and goes off to try and find Glenn, just like in the show, and the back half of Season 4 plays out almost exactly the same until Rick and Michonne reunite, and now there's Hershel, and Hershel will help with two key things. He will help make sure Rick keeps his moral compass in the back half, and he will stop Carl becoming more hardened and more pessimistic. Carl, in Season 4, before they retconned him, he was going down a really dark path. So with Hershel around, Carl wouldn't go down that dark path. Some key things from Season 4. When Carl and Michonne go for a run, Hershel's still at the house. So Hershel will alert Rick when the claimers are coming. They will escape without Rick getting the murder jacket and killing someone, which would lead to there's no murder. And most importantly, in episode 15, when Joe and the claimers come by Rick, they are there just to rob them. They are not there for a vendetta to kill Rick because he killed one of their men. However, a battle would still happen, because Daryl will try and tell Joe not to rob them, and this will lead to Daryl being defiant, leading to him being beaten up, and a fight breaking out. And during this fight, Hershel would most likely take his first life. Someone would try and kill Carl, and Hershel would have to be the one to kill this man. And in episode 16, everyone finally reunites, and maybe Hershel would clock what Terminus is before Rick does, because he'll realise there's no kids. Something's off before Rick starts to recognise stuff. Going into Season 5, everyone's reunited, Maggie's really happy, but those first 3 episodes of The Hunters are going to be critical to putting a divide between Rick and Hershel, which will be a storyline for them in Season 5. During these first 3 episodes, we could either get one or two things. One, Hershel has Dale's death. In the show, Hershel is basically comic Dale, so it makes sense for them to kill off Hershel in Season 5 Episode 3 with the Hunters. If he survives and Bob gets it, Season 5 will be about Hershel dealing with the grief that he killed a man, and maybe this gives him time with Gabriel and those two will create a bond. Hershel is a man of faith, Gabriel is a man of faith himself, he is a priest, so they could even have a confession in the first few episodes when they meet. And definitely Hershel and Gabriel's bond would be very critical for Hershel's story. Gabriel will become more trustful of the group a lot quicker. In Season 5, he's almost stabbing them in the back once they get to Alexandria. That would be different because of Hershel. He would build a bond with Hershel, and because of that, he would build a bond with the group and see what's going on. And with Hershel still around, the group wouldn't be as ruthless. But this doesn't get them out of committing their worst crime in Season 5, which was luring the Hunters into the church and massacring them. I think this would still happen, even if Rick is more grounded because of what happened to Bob, and just before you have the termites, and then you have Joe, and you have Abraham around who wants justice. Rick would agree that they're going to set a trap, which would cause a massive argument with Hershel. And it's just like Season 2 with Dale, where Dale's like, we can't do this when talking about the fate of Randall, but Hershel would understand eventually it has to be done, and that'd be something that he would obviously confess a lot to Gabriel. And moving into the second plot of Season 5 with going back all the way to Atlanta and saving Beth, Hershel would stay with Carl, Judith and Michonne at the church while that all goes back, and they come back and pick him up and it's all depressing. But moving on to the journey to Alexandria, Hershel would take a back seat. He is not very happy with Rick, but once they get to Alexandria, he becomes a primary character again, and he'll be there to check Rick. He would make sure Rick stays grounded. We're not having Rick doing all his Shane tendencies. He is not trying to get with Jesse. He is not going to be fighting Pete in the streets, doing the Rick-tatorship. Hershel would keep Rick in check, and by the season finale, there will not be a discussion of what do we do with Rick, do we get rid of him, because Rick wouldn't have shouted at everyone and brandished a gun. You would obviously at some point have Jesse and Pete break up. That probably happened by the end of the season, but it does mean going into season 6, you would have Rick more grounded. Probably Carl also, with Hershel still around, he would be a mentor to help Carl settle in too. And characters like Diana's husband and Pete would still be around. There is no forced breakup at this time. Maybe it is less of an aggressive breakup. I still think Jesse would break free of Pete, but all the fallout would happen in season 6. So Pete would die at the start of season 6 in my opinion. Maybe when the Walker Hoard is found, Rick is given some more control to deal with it, and that's when Pete would then either try and kill Rick on the run and fail, or there would be a little coup to try and get rid of Rick because Diana's given him some power. She's still clearly in control, unlike in the show in season 6 where it's clearly Rick now in everything but name. And then we're going to have to talk about the two big moments, the wolf attack and No Way Out. I don't believe, I can't see any way Hershel would survive both of these. I think the most likely thing that would happen, they go out and do the deal with walkers, the wolves attack, and Hershel would die in the wolf attack. Hershel was a man that would risk his own life, as seen in season 4, to try and save as many people as possible. I see Hershel dying because he's trying to give someone first aid. A wolf comes around the corner and kills him. And maybe this would have an effect to realise for Morgan to be like, pacifism isn't the be-all and end-all. Because look at Hershel, he was a pacifist. He killed a man, dealt with the grief, moved on, and he died because of his pacifism. So this might make Morgan break a little earlier. Maybe losing the moral compass at this point in time would spiral every character. And definitely, if we have Hershel die at the start of season 6, Rick would start to spiral at the worst time possible with the walkers bearing down on them. I still think they would all survive, but all our characters would have so many more scars, and I think more Alexandrians would die when the walls finally fall with the walkers. If he survived somehow, which I think is very unlikely, the wolf attack, he ain't making it through No Way Out. Just because, what are the odds he's going to be inside and inside a locked building when the walkers come in? No, he's going to be outside, he can't run, he's got a prosthetic leg. He's going to be swarmed or trying to save other people's lives, and that would get him bit. Hershel has no chance surviving season 6 in my opinion, and either death would massively affect the group. You're either going to have lots of deaths during No Way Out because he dies during the wolf arc, or he dies in No Way Out, and in the back half of the season, Rick, instead of being overconfident going into the Saviour War, he is overcautious. And that's why he then does these drastic actions. Maybe he's more drastic because he realises that he cannot have another siege on Alexandria. He has lost his father figure, he's lost his moral compass, and that's why he goes off and then kills the Saviors. He wants to do a preemptive attack to stop it from happening again, which then leads to it happening anyway. So that's how I think Hershel's story would go. After season 6, we would then go into season 7. It's going to be almost exactly the same, just with Rick way more chaotic and darker, and we would have Maggie being way more chaotic herself. She would lose her father, and then soon after lose her husband. She would have some serious trauma, and that is what I think would happen if Hershel survived. I just don't see him surviving past season 6. There are too many big moments which he just cannot survive. He doesn't have the fighting, and he just can't outrun walkers in his condition that he's in after season 4. So please tell me down below, do you agree with my what if? Do you disagree? And any other things you would like to see what if? Please tell me down in the comments. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you later.